Right? Looks like it's just you and me now. I am alone. However, what you were looking at now is the first fruits of my labor in collecting lighting data from real life. So everything that you see here has been measured to match the way that the light falls off at sunset. I collected the data last night. Oh, well, yesterday evening. And then I spent the last few hours plugging the data in, and now, as you can see, the light fall off on everything is extremely natural. By the way, the music level versus my voice, is that all okay, or is the music too quiet, too loud? Okay, I dropped the gain on my mic a little bit. Is that better? Switch over to... It's actually, music's getting a little loud for me now. Pull that down some. So switch over to midday. It really does, Wolfish. The level designers done an incredible job. All of the 3D artists, the texture artists. It is a far cry from Skyrim itself, which is what this is built all up on top of. You know, one of my favorite things to do is when I get the weather's in a good spot, just rotating the time of day and just watching the transition. And when we get to sunset here, this is where this real life data has been applied, and the way the light's falling off of everything looks very realistic. So what I'm going to do today, the stream may not be like 3 hours long like the previous ones have been. Also, sorry for the incorrect title on the stream. I am not QuantumScape. I am Trey. But I actually don't know the bot command that that everyone uses to change the stream title. So, thank you, Whopish. So until somebody pops in that can change that. In fact, give me just a second here. I'm going to pop out of the game for a moment. Try to ping somebody in Discord and see if somebody can... Oh, there's Hecky. Hecky to the rescue. Let's go. Alright. Perfect. Okay, so Hecky, the command is just exclamation title. Okay, good enough. I'll use that next time. I think I can. I think I made a mod. Let me see. This type of test. Yep. I've got the little... I got the sword. Hecky, you know what? Technically, it is... The stream should be Weather Wednesday, but since I messed that up, let's go ahead and do forecast Friday. That's all I can come up with. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, using the weather data is really nice, and also since we have Kit on the team, we've been able to implement our volumetric lighting syncing up with the sun properly, and also the shadows cast all the way down to the horizon until the sun dips below, and you can see that happening up here, and it's gone. Man, that music is actually kind of loud again. Let me turn that down some more. That's apparently as low as it's gonna go. Yeah, I've got Apple Music like turned down to like 5, and somehow it's still loud. Yeah, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to try to complete this clear weather here. I'm not really going to focus on clouds at all. And since the Bitter Coast is a region where I've kind of decided the humidity is going to be kind of high here, that's going to affect our sky color and everything. So let's pull that down, and we want our skies to look a sort of a milkier blue. Top, we're going to darken and saturate just a bit. Something like that. And then for this, pull down the brightness a little bit. There we go. And that just helps to sort of imply that there's some humidity in there, since the sky is a milkier blue as opposed to a really saturated one. And I should probably do the same with the fog here. Take some of the color out of it. Too much. Turn this up a little bit. Something like that. Pop that at 7. Actually. Let's darken up this foreground some. So however, this is it's just regional. Every region has its own set of weathers that I'm working on. Currently, I'm just working on the Bitter Coast stuff. When I finish with that, I'm going to move to the next region. Obviously, I won't finish with that tonight, but that's what I'm currently working on, is all of the Bitter Coast stuff. Okay, there we go. That looks good. I could probably pull this back a little bit. Yeah, that's good. That. Yeah, that looks okay. Hello, Sky Glitches. How are you? happy with the way this looks so far. Let me see how it looks on my skin. Looks fine. No nasty clipping. All right, we're good. So now I'm just going to like take the sunrise and sunset data, just kind of copy it over. And basically the only difference between the two currently is I'm just going to flip the direction that the bright side of the sky is on. So flip that over there, and then I'm just going to take these values. And they may need adjustment once I get to the sunrise, but for now I'm just going to directly copy over the sunset stuff to the sunrise and then work with it from there. That saves me a little bit of time. Okay. It's 7 for now. That's enough. And then there's a couple of things that need to be done to match up. Match that. Take our sunrise. Pop that open. That's it. Seven. Okay. Just need to copy these values over. I think we'll allow a bit more bloom here. To let a little bit more bloom come through since it's a little mistier in the mornings. It's the same. 5. There's the image space copied over. And now we just want the sunrise volumetric lighting. So for now, I'm going to copy over the exact settings and then we'll modify them to our purposes. Oh, gotta do this too. Something like that. Okay. And then this we need the other sky. That's the west, just type in east here. And copy this value. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm going to make the sky glow on the side that the sun is coming up on. That should be here. Oh, the east didn't change. Okay, let's put this in. Okay, that should be, yep, there we go. So now we have a glow on this side of the sky. And I'm just going to copy over all of these values. It doesn't matter. Okay. So one thing that I want to do is for the morning, I want more mist. So I'm gonna brighten this up just a little bit. Like there's more. Basically, the idea being that there's more particulates in the air. So right away, morning has a little bit of a different look because there's more, I don't know, there's more, yeah, more humidity in the air, so there's a little bit more scattering. And then also, it's my main, is that up? Right there. Also, I want the volumetric lighting to be a little more, yeah, a little more misty. So to do that, we're just going to, wait, what happened here? Did I pull up the wrong thing? Let's make sure we got that set up properly. Sunrise, we're test 01. Right there, okay. Suggesting the wrong one. Okay. I'm going to pull this back. You can see right away that's kind of brought a more of a mistier vibe in. And you can kind of see these rays a little more strongly. And my thought process on that is like, yeah, it's been a cool night. So we have more humidity in the air. But I think I want a little less. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll allow more of the sun color to come through and less of the sky color. All that looks fine. Let's go back into town and take a look. So one thing that I want to do, which isn't necessarily realistic, but in order to make morning feel a bit like more like morning, I think I'm going to push this color a little in the purple direction. Just so that it feels a little distinct from sunset. And for the color, let's make it a little more yellow, just a tiny bit. And probably the same here, but not a lot. Yeah, see, that's cool. You can kind of see the rays there. Oh, that looks cool. Let's modify our water multiplier. Okay. And our effect lighting, we want slightly yellow. That. I think another thing that I need to do is I need to pull back this range factor a little bit. Pull the scattering down. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and lift that up. Oh, that's nice. Maybe I went a little heavy on it. Okay, so now we're in a good spot. We can do a quick test of morning to day to sunset in one go. Oh, that looks great. Look at that. That's beautiful. The idea being that, like, during the morning, right, we have more mist in the air because the temperature is a little lower. But then as we get into the day, all of that clears up because it's warming up, right? And it's no longer like that mistiness. And then as we get into sunset, the rays are still there, but they're not as intense as they were in the morning. See them there. But the sunset looks a lot more dry, if that makes sense. Let's pull this all the way back. Yeah, that's lovely. That's so satisfying to walk through the incredible level design work from the level team. When the lighting hits just right, it's just hugely satisfying. I think another thing that I need to do is I need to adjust the sky color just a little bit away from blue. Just slightly push it in that purple direction, just a touch. Yeah, there we go. The change is subtle. I feel like I kind of want go back on the saturation a little bit. Yeah, something like that. Let's skip the battle music. No need for that. That's more like that. Feels a little bit better for the morning. Yeah, that's just gorgeous. Wolfish, you asked about the controls. It's mostly the same as vanilla Skyrim. However, our jump mechanic is quite a bit different. So in vanilla Skyrim, you just tap the button and you jump. However, in Skywind, there's a bit of like a charging mechanic. So you hold the button down, and then when you release, you jump. And the longer you hold, the higher you jump, and this is based on your player stats. So you can just tap it, and it'll just kind of hop. Or you can hold, and he'll do a bigger jump. And the crouching thing kind of also applies in first person. It's really satisfying to use. Just hold and jump. Okay, so I think I'm good with the sunrise here. So I'm about to move on to the night. Do a quick check to make sure. I don't love the color, so let's go back and put that. There we go. That's, yeah, we'll just stick with that. All right. Okay. Let's move on. All right, let's go to the night. And you can see it's very broken because we haven't touched it yet. So let's get to it. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to kill all of the ambient light for nighttime. So all we're left with is the moonlight. Just ignore that out there. We're only focusing on this portion here. So let's come over to our night. And let's also just kill the fog for now, because it's distraction. And I'm going to open up the image space for the nighttime. And we'll open up the nighttime volumetric lighting. And for now, we're going to kill those two. We'll come back to them, but for now, they're distraction. Also kill bloom for the moment. Let's fight to 30. I'm just going to initially set that to 2. Set that to probably 2. 7. And sit in here. Okay. That feels all right. Okay. The rest of this is good. We're going to leave it for now. And now we can come back in here. So what I'm focusing on at the moment is I want the moonlight. Let's go ahead and pull the moon up here. Moon glare up. So we can find it. Okay, there's our moon. So what I'm going to be watching is... In fact, let's go ahead and set this to 100 so we can see the moon and the ground. Basically, I'm just going to try to eyeball it. And I'm going to try to set the moonlight brightness to sort of something that makes sense given the size of the moon in the sky. Turn off the game UI. Okay, so I've got the shadow here. And I already know from digging into the textures in Photoshop that in the case of our moonlight here, usually my hue is about 8 with a lower saturation. And now we're just going to start pulling it up until it feels about right. Okay. Maybe that's a bit bright. Let's pull it back down a little bit. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull the stars up. Alright, so as far as like the brightness of the moonlight, it might still be a bit too bright. We'll pull it down just a touch. That feels a little dim. I think we're going to go with that for now. Back in the first person. And now comes the part. So I don't know how many of you guys were in my first Weather Wednesday stream a few weeks back. Let me fix this real quick. But I mentioned using ENB as a debug tool. So today I'm going to demonstrate how that works. I'm going to go ahead and enable ENB. And you have to ignore some of the rendering differences. I can't make everything look perfectly vanilla through ENB, but this doesn't matter. We'll disable that when we get into doing the rest of the lighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find a spot, probably something here on a rock. Oh, another thing I need to do in ENB is I need to temporarily disable specularity. So I'm going to come over here and we'll just turn the specular multiplier to 0. What that does is it gets rid of those little hot spots that can throw off my measurement. So I'm just going to I'll just pick this spot right here on the rock. And I also need to disable TAA. And I'm just going to turn FXAA on in its place. The reason I need to disable TAA is because with it on, these numbers are not very stable, but when I turn TAA off, I can get exact measurements of anywhere that I right-click. So I'm going to hold the right mouse button down. You can see as I drag, ENB is giving me a readout of the actual red, green, and blue color of that pixel. And then also the overall brightness of it. So 0 is black and 1 would be white. So in this case, the overall brightness of this pixel on the screen is about 20%. So that's important. Now, the data that I took a few nights ago of the full moon on Monday showed me that the shadows at night, at least according to my real life measurements, shadows should be about 10% the brightness of the moonlight. So with that knowledge, I'm going to disable ENB again. We're going to come over here and we're going to set our sunlight scale to, actually, you know what, let's do this first. We're going to try to eyeball initially our ambient values. So I'm going to set that to, I can actually do a rough calculation. So it's about 45. So we'll set this to, just going to set it to 10 across the board initially. That's too much, okay. Oh, that wasn't 10, it was 110. 10. Let's go a little higher. Let's just set 20. Still not enough. Let's try this. 40. Okay, that's good. That's a better starting point. So now I'm going to kill the moonlight entirely. Okay, I can live with that. Let's adjust our ambient, our nighttime ambient. We basically want our grass brightness, which is controlled by the ambient, to kind of match our overall ambient on the ground here. So, interestingly enough, it's also controlled by the moonlight color, which is a weird quirk about the game. So I just need to set this. Oh, I messed with the wrong thing. I need to set my ambient to a value that's not so high that AI would be able to detect us. Because this is one of the main things that controls the AI detection, is how high this ambient level is. So for now, I think I'm just going to set it to 50. And then I'm going to set this pretty low. So now what I do is I control how bright the moonlight is with the sunlight scale on the image space side. I feel like this top needs to be a little brighter than that. So something like that. Okay, so if we pretend that it's a new moon and there's no full moon out, hopefully everyone's able to see this okay. Because this is ideally as dark as the night would ever get if there was no moon out. If anybody in chat is unable to actually see, please let me know, because that's important. I don't want the game to ever be unplayable because of brightness issues. There. Hey, down. Okay. Is everybody ever able to see? Is everybody able to see the ground as we're walking? Okay on stream? Perfect. Good to know. Thank you. All right, so now let's go to our rock. And we're going to turn E and B back on so we have our measurement tools. And I'm just going to pick a pixel on this rock. And it's reading about 0.05. So according to the data that I took of moonlight, if shadows should be 10% of the sunlight, I'm going to externally, you won't be able to see it, but I'm going to pull up a calculator here and I'm going to say 0.05 divided by 0.1, which is 10%. So the value that gave me was 0.5. So what I want to do is I want to turn, when I turn this moonlight on here, I want to push it up until that says 0.5. And it's looking like, oh, I measured wrong. 1 second. I'm going to have to hop into another application. Bear with me just a moment. Let's see here. something that me and my fellow weather devs discovered today is that we have to measure the data a bit differently than I was initially measuring it. So give me a second here and I'm going to put that together. Perfect. Okay, so the shadow should actually be 32% of 0.05. So 0.5 divided by 0.32. Okay, so I need to go to not 0.5, but 0.15. So let's pull this way down. Okay, set that to 4, and that is close enough. So basically what that's doing is that's making sure that our shadow levels are matching our real life moonlight levels. And that also seems to match the sky, the moon in the sky quite well. All right, there we go. So I had to pull my browser back up so I can see the chat while I work. All right, so our basic light settings are in place. I do feel like maybe I need a stronger tint here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that. Because if I don't use tint, then we get like the direct moonlight color, which is technically correct, but that's not how your eyes would see it. Your eyes actually, in low light, switch from mostly taking in information through the cones in your eyes, and it switches over to be predominantly through the rods in your eyes. So the end result of that is that things look a little desaturated and slightly tinted toward blue. So that's why I try to add some of that in the image space here with the tint. And just doing that, like now it looks quite a bit more natural. There are some things that we need to adjust, like the brightness of these effect lighting things. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, let's turn off E and B. That's part of the problem here. Okay, let's pull the effect lighting down. There we go. There we go. So there are still some issues. So the first thing that we want to do is crap. I did not mean to click that. That just broke a ton of stuff. One moment, I gotta fix it. So we know whether we want that at 4. Let's kill it. And let's readjust our ambient levels. Set that to about, I think I had it at 50. Let's put that to a blue. Perfect. I hate that I'm going to have to redo all of these, but I am. We'll deal with that later. So our ambient level is good. Our grass seems to match our ground. And I do kind of feel like I want to lift up the brightness of the ground a bit more. Since we added the tint, it made things a little more difficult to see. Set to 85, and then we're going to pull these down. And I'm just going to do this. Okay, there we go. It looks a little better. Let's go to 92. That's too much. This we can kind of tint toward the sky color a little bit. Yep, that's starting to look nice. All right. Now we can pull the moonlight back. Although, oh no, we're still good. So the moonlight is very bright. Technically that matches my data, but I'm not sure I'm not 100% sure that I want to stick with this level of brightness, but we'll see as we continue with the rest of the weather here. So let's bring the fog back. And let's skip the bad music. So the first thing that did is that really broke things there. Let's go here. If you hear my family in the background, my apologies. And we're going to desaturate some of this. Oops. Click the wrong thing. It's a good place there. Darken that up a little bit. Okay, now we need to bring in the volumetric lighting. 4. That. Okay. That looks really pretty, actually. I want to like cut down on some of the amount. Scattering will like sort of clamp the glow around the moon. And then contribution sort of controls like how far down it can go. Sort of, kind of. Hard to explain. I mostly just do it by feel, but I think matching the two values here seems to work the best. Okay, is the moonlight brightness bothering anyone? For me, my brain is like telling me it's too bright, but then when I look in the sky, the moon is freaking huge, so maybe not. How does this look for everybody in chat? I'm guessing it looks fine. One thing that is bothering me, I feel like this horizon is a bit bright. It's Temporarily disable that. Hang on, guys. I'm going to mute myself real quick. I'll still keep working, but I won't chat for just a little bit. Okay, I'm back. I think most of the chatting is settled down. Alright. Incorrect, Argyle. It is forecast Friday today. So, well, that sunlight just blasts through when it pops out, doesn't it? Looks like I need to justify it. Oh yeah, that stuff broke from earlier. I need to fix. Down. And then let's adjust the ambient level here. There feels good. Okay. Oh, mute time again. 1 second. And the microphone is back. Seriously, about the time I unmute it, they start chatting again. I'm very happy with this. The nighttime, transitioning into sunrise. That's really pretty. It's running down at night. With the low, nice low moon there. Right about there's mine, I guess. Yep, we're slowly chugging away. Doing our absolute best to make it look as good as it possibly can. And there's my son, making noise in the background. Like, I guess that should be brighter. Wanted to get the moon rays a little more obvious. Yep, there we go. That's better. Looks a little more natural. Yep. Water's too dark at night. Let's fix that. Push a lid. There we go. That looks nice. I'll let chat decide. Chat, should I mute myself with all the people talking behind me? Are you guys okay with just dealing with it? They're kind of loud. Yeah, we got family over. My accent's not too strong, but you can certainly hear the Texas and some of the people behind me. Probably talking about what they're gonna cook for dinner. I'm not sure. I've got headphones on, but you're hearing them from the kitchen. So Oh, well, that's good that the noise gate's doing its thing. Alright, so put the moon directly overhead. Okay, chat. I need a vote. Oh, Hecky, we already discussed this. Can't make polls yet. Can someone make a straw poll for me about what chat prefers the most out of this weather ID? Night, sunrise, daytime, or sunset? So we'll do. Here's nighttime. And here is sunrise. And here is daytime. And here is sunset. My personal preference, I think that the sunset is the best looking time of day on this particular ID. But that's probably because it's the only real ID that I tried to match my data. Just which time of day do you prefer for this weather? Basically, just which one chat thinks looks nicest. So there would be sunrise, day, sunset, and night as options. Okay, chat. Heck, you put up the straw poll. If you guys would vote. I mean, the poll doesn't mean anything. I'm just mostly just curious to see which of the times of day you guys found the most striking. So there's night for anybody that wanted to refresh their memory on how that looked. And here is sunrise. And then we'll just go to day. So here's the noonday sun. Oh, I can turn TAA back on a little better. All right, so there's day, and then we'll roll over to sunset. Right about there, sunset. And this one is my personal favorite. For me personally, sunset looks the best, and then I think night follows pretty close behind it. hop over and check the flow myself, see how it's doing. Oh wow, most people seem to be rolling toward sunrise. Interesting. Okay, let's hop back over to sunrise and take another look. Sunrise. Let's go back to night in case anybody missed it. Here's nighttime. Oh, that's so cool. The moon is reflecting in the water. That's awesome. Break out our torch. Evans, now the implementation process is extremely easy. So the developer of this modding tool, which is called Create, created a command line tool that can read the weather data that's saved here and immediately converts it into a plugin with all of the weather record information just plugged right into it. So then I send that plugin off to our implementation person, who then merges my changes at the end of every month, and that's pretty much it. It's really easy to do. I'm going to skip that track. It's a little distracting. Guys, I think I'm about to wrap up the stream in the next few minutes, so it's been a short one today, but if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to ask them, and I'll try to answer before wrapping everything up. Galahad, a lot of work is left to do for the weathers. So the past year that I've been on the Skywind team was basically me experimenting and learning the ins and outs of this engine as much as I could in order to get the quality level to what you see here. Now that I don't mean it to sound like bragging, but with the work that I put in over the past year, I consider myself an expert on how to get the weather looking the way I want it to look. Now that I've got that skill level up, we can start working in earnest on everything. So the current plan is to work on it region by region, and we're just starting with Bitter Coast. So all of the experimentation groundwork has been laid, and I kind of know best practices. So at this point, it's just a matter of building the weathers one by one. So what you guys saw here, when I first started the stream, the weather was about half completed. And at this point, it looks like it's pretty much complete. So it took about an hour to complete, and maybe an hour and a half to get it to the point that it was when I first joined the stream. So each ID can take anywhere from like 2 to 8 hours, depending on what needs to be done. This one is simple because I didn't need to do any cloud work. Right? It's just perfectly clear skies. So that simplified everything. The Bitter Coast currently has about 10 different weather types planned, and each type may have 1 to 3 variations. So, without knowing the exact number, roughly maybe 30 different weather IDs for Bitter Coast need to be made before we can move on to the next region. So, my personal goal, without necessarily knowing if we can pull it off, I would like to be done with all of the Bitter Coast weathers before the end of next month. And then we'd be able to move on to the next region. Though I would imagine toward the end of November, I will probably take a break for the holidays. I'll probably just take December off because my birthday is on the 16th of December, and then you got Christmas, and then actually my wedding anniversary is on the 1st of January. So I got a lot of holiday stuff going on around that time, so I'll probably just take a break. But once January hits, we'll immediately move to the next region, which is I think I'll probably just rotate over to Ascadian Isles, and then we'll do the same thing there. We'll finish all of the weathers there, and then we'll move on, and we'll keep doing that until every region is completed. At which point, all of the weather work will be done, but just step at a time. It's not just me working on the weathers, by the way. Kitsuna works on some. Ashley, who's the author of the Picta Weathers, is also part of the team. So it's not just me doing it. So I tentatively would like to have all of the weathers done before the end of next year, but that may or may not be possible. But I'm going to do my best. And then once the weather work's done, it's just a matter of polishing everything. Because I do not just weather work; I also work with the interior level design team to make sure that that all looks good too. So I've got a lot to do on the project, but it's all fun. It can be a bit scary because I'm not trying to say that other departments are not important. Everything is just as important. But when it comes to what the user first sees when they play the game, unfortunately for me, everything that the player sees will have to have been touched by me, which is really stressful because I have like a high quality bar set in my mind, and I kind of have to ensure that everything reaches that quality bar. So it's really stressful, but it's really rewarding when it's done. Like, for example, this weather ID is pretty much done, and this is at my quality standard, and I'm happy to just kind of release it into the wild. So anybody else have any other questions for me? Before we wrap up, let's do something that may be a little stupid, because this weather is not made for that region. But let's check how Vivek City looks with this weather ID loaded. Oops, I spelled that wrong. So here it is at midday. Now, the reason that it can be kind of stupid to do things like that, you'll notice that the top of this hat is in some places just clipping to pure white. The thing is, different regions have different, I have to make a different weather for every region to take into account the surroundings. So here I feel like maybe the sunlight's a little too bright. But in Bitter Coast it looked fine. So keep in mind, it may not look perfect here. Let's check our sunrise here. Yeah, see, things can look a little wonky. That's why we have to do it on a per region basis. Try the sunset. Sunset seems to work a little better than sunrise did. It definitely doesn't look as nice as it did in the Bitter Coast, which again is why you have to make a different set of weathers for every area. Got that peeking up there. I bet the night will look pretty cool though. get the moon into a good spot. Moon must be over here. Yeah. Go to the other side. Something like that. Let's try that. Yeah, I don't love the way it looks here. So, yeah, like I said, different weather IDs for different regions. So, yeah, hopefully what I just did, this little experiment kind of demonstrates why you have to make a different set of weathers for every region to ensure everything looks correct. So, yeah, I think that about wraps it up, guys. I'll stick around for like one more question if anybody has one. But all that chatter that was behind me, that was because people were cooking and I'm starting to smell the food. So it's getting super close to me cutting the stream off so I can go like stuff my face. Does anybody have any more questions before I go? That's pretty simple. So, the way the weather system works is, all right, so I got this weather ID I've been working on here, and I'll just pop this one up too. Ignore all that blackness. So imagine that the weather is transitioning. So this is a Bitter Coast weather that we just made, and this is an Ashlands weather. So let's say that we quickly ran from Bitter Coast to the Ashlands, okay? Just for the sake of argument. Right now it's sunset in the game, so the sunlight is set to this color. So what's going to happen is, even if this wasn't a different region weather, let's say it was like a different weather in the same region, it doesn't matter if it's in the same region or not, but in this case, it would be. Okay, let's say, so we're going from a Bitter Coast weather, and now we're transitioning out because we left the Bitter Coast. The game is like, okay, you have to transition to an Ashlands weather in this case. So basically, we force the transition. If we stayed in the Bitter Coast, and the weather system decided it wanted to go from like clear to cloudy, it would be the same thing. But in this case, since we moved to a different region, we force the transition. So what's going to happen is, all of the values in the sunset column, because we're at sunset, it's going to linearly interpolate from this color to this color and this ID. And it's going to do that for every color that's assigned here and every color up here. So the game knows what the current or outgoing weather is, and it knows what the next weather is. And so it just smoothly transitions every value from this color to whatever color is assigned in the next weather. And that's how the system works. So hopefully that answered the question. My wife just dropped a plate of pizza in front of me, so I'm going to hop off of here, you guys, and I'm going to eat. Sorry that Weather Wednesdays was delayed by 2 days, but we got it done anyway. And next Wednesday, I hope to see you all here again. So, I will answer your last question there. The speed that happens is determined by the setting that is set in the weather itself. So there's like I forget which one it is. I think it's this transition delta here controls some of that, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, that's controlled in the game settings that are defined in the Skywind ESM, and then I think also this transition delta might have something to do with it. But anyway, I'm gonna hop off and eat. You guys have a great night, day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Goodbye.